Hello, this is Kendra Williams, and welcome to the case study, Icing the Game, an overview of the 2004-2005 NHL Lockout. Icing is an infraction in the game of hockey that occurs when a player shoots the hockey puck and the puck crosses the lines of both teams, yet remains untouched. After an icing call, play resumes only after a face-off between the two teams. In making the call, the game official gives the signal for icing by folding his arms across his chest. This term, infraction, and its signal likely describe the nature of the labor dispute that resulted in the 2004-2005 National Hockey League lockout. The NHL lockout officially began in September 2004 and lasted until July 2005. The main players involved in this game of negotiations were NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman in support of the league and team owners, and the NHL players represented by the NHL Players Association and its executive director Bob Goodnow. The positions. The main issue of the lockout revolved around a labor dispute concerning a salary cap, limiting the amount of money a team can spend on its players. The bargaining position for the commissioner and owners was cost certainty, a salary based on the league's gross revenue. And the bargaining position for the NHL players and NHLPA was for marketplace, a salary based on the players' seniority and individual worth. The underlying interest for the commissioner in this dispute was to prevent any additional or future loss of revenue for the league due to the players' high salaries and a lack of cost certainty. At that time, the players' salaries came from over 70% of the league's gross revenue. The underlying interest for the players was to be paid what they were worth without a salary cap that was based on gross revenue, and without seeing veteran players earning the same salary as newer players who had not yet established their worth and ability to play in the league. Accordingly, for this negotiation, both teams brought neutral criteria to the game. The neutral criteria for the commissioner and owners involved using the league's financial report from the previous season, which indicated a major loss in revenue for the league related to the players' salaries. The report specifically showed that prior to the 2004-2005 season, the league lost $273 million in revenue due to salary costs. And additionally, the players' share from the league's gross revenue was at a higher percentage than any other North American sports league. The neutral criteria for the players in the NHLPA was a Forbes financial report from the previous season that showed that the NHL's losses were not as significant as the league had claimed. And the NHLPA also used a study of tactics from the 1998 NBA lockout, in which the NBA similarly requested salary caps or cost certainty, and the players initially refused. In that example, however, the NBA players gave in to the owners and league's demands and agreed to a max salary that was dictated by each team's annual revenue. Therefore, the ultimate position of the NHLPA was to not repeat the same outcome of the NBA negotiations by accepting the idea of cost certainty or perceived salary caps. The mutual benefit for both parties was to get the players back on the ice and to continue to make a profit as well as promote the sport of hockey and increase its popularity. In a 2005 interview, Bob Goodnow of the NHLPA stated, "Every day this dispute continues, we don't think it's good for the game." At that time, ice hockey was only fourth in popularity among the major U.S. sports leagues, and also due to the lockout, the league was unable to start a profitable deal with the NBC network, which resulted in moving the sport further off the radar of the sports fans. Elements of the deal. On July 13, 2005, the NHL and the NHLPA finally reached a settlement for a 6-year collective bargaining agreement, allowing the union to reopen negotiations after the 4th year, or to extend the agreement for an additional year. The players under contract had their salary cut by 24%, and the agreement instated a team payroll of $39 million for the 2005-2006 season, with player compensation reduced and limited to 54% of the league's revenue, achieving the commissioners' and owners' goal. Additionally, the salary cap could also be adjusted annually according to gross revenue. And in support of the players' goals, there was a minimum payroll established of $21 million, and new or rookie player salaries were limited to $850,000 per season, satisfying the veteran players' concerns. And lastly, individual minimum or floor salaries were raised from $175,000 from the 2004-2005 season to $450,000 for the 2005-2006 season, with subsequent increases in floor salaries every 2 years. The winners and the losers. The league and the players could have resorted to backup plans of either hiring replacement players or seeking other opportunities to play ice hockey outside of the NHL. But in connecting their underlying interests, the two parties were able to reach a mutually beneficial agreement. The major downside, however, of the negotiation process is that it took too long, an entire NHL season. And at the end of the day, what resulted from the lockout was monumental. It was the first time that a full season of any of the major U.S. professional sports leagues completely shut down due to a labor dispute. And because of the dispute and lockout, the NHL did not crown a Stanley Cup winner, the first time since 1919. In this game of negotiations, there were eventual gains for the commissioner and owners and the players and the NHLPA, and they achieved a win-win situation. The owners arguably received the upper hand, but even though there were winners on both sides of the agreement, the ultimate losers during the lockout were the fans. Thank you for watching this presentation about the negotiations during the 2004-2005 NHL lockout. I hope that you enjoyed it and have a nice day.